Good evening. My name is Alicia Obando, and I'm from the Anti-Cruelty Society. For 100 years, we have provided an open door for Chicago's animals in need. Our mission of preventing cruelty to animals and advancing humane education is evident in all of our work. And over the next several weeks, on Thursdays at 5:30, you will learn about us through this live, interactive call-in television program brought to you by TV21. During the next 25 minutes, we're going to discuss the various shelter services at the Anti-Cruelty Society, and we invite you to call in with any questions you might have. You can call in to the number on the screen, 312-738-1060. Our phone lines are now open. My human guest with me today is David Dinger. He is the Vice President of Operations at the Anti-Cruelty Society, and he's going to talk to us about the various shelter services. But before we get started, I want to introduce our pet guest, Charlie. And Charlie is coming over here, and he is from the Anti-Cruelty Society. He is up for adoption. Just to remind you of where we are at 510 North LaSalle. That's the corner of Grand and LaSalle. That's where you can come for adoptions. And Charlie is a handsome 5-year-old cat who's making his way up here. Look at this beautiful cat. He is a domestic medium hair. He is available currently for adoption. He came to the shelter in July when his previous family found out that they were allergic to cats and they couldn't keep him. He did become sick with a little upper respiratory, but he went to our rehab facility and has completely recovered and is totally ready for adoption now. He is good with children. He's good with other cats and other dogs. And his tab band number, which you'll want to use to identify him if you look into adopting him, is 673799. And you can find out more about him by calling the Anti-Cruelty Society. And our number is 312-644-8338. You can also go to our website at anticruelty.org. Thank you so much for joining us there, Charlie. So, David, Anti-Cruelty Shelter Services is actually made up of 3 different departments. Can you tell us a little bit about those 3 areas?
Sure. Depends on why you're coming to us, but the majority of people coming to the shelter are looking for our adoption services. Mm-hmm. So you'll meet our customer service staff as you walk in the door. They're there to greet, answer questions, and direct people to the right places in order to see the animals and get the adoption process started. Customer service also answers about 1,000 phone calls a day coming in looking for information not only about the shelter, but about dogs and cats and other domestic animals in general.
Okay. So once you get past customer service, what other department or area of that department would you be dealing with?
Well, the largest department that we have is what we call kennels. The staff of kennels takes care of the animals. You know, our population in the shelter hovers at this time of the year right around 700 animals. So they all need to be fed, in some cases medicated. Their cages need to be cleaned and disinfected. Animals need to be exercised and given playtime. So they're a pretty busy group of people.
Sounds like a lot of work.
Yeah, but they're not even finished then. When we open up to the public for adoptions, then not only do they staff the adoption rooms in order to help people find the right animal for their families, mm-hmm. but also then we'll take people through the process, go through the application process, and give people medical records, familiarize them with the support programs that we have for mm-hmm. adopters, and get the process completed so everybody can go home.
Okay, and then you also have receiving.
The receiving staff is there for people that are bringing animals in to surrender to the shelter, mm-hmm. and so they're the sort of Marines of the animal shelter. They're the ones that are charged with taking animals in, gathering information from the people bringing them to us, imparting information to surrenderers about what the future holds in store for those animals, and getting as much information as possible so that when we're making adoption decisions about them, we're making the right adoption decisions to try and get them into permanent homes. But it's their job then to vaccinate, give deworming preparations, and simply make the animals comfortable in what is a challenging environment, so that we can move them through as quickly as possible.
Okay. It sounds like probably the biggest part of the shelter services is the adoption process.
Sure.
And so how does that process work? When someone comes in and they want to adopt an animal, what is the process that they go through?
Well, obviously, we hope that people are making up their minds ahead of time whether they want a dog or a cat. Obviously, very different commitments and responsibilities. But you get to visit the animals, and we not only encourage, but in a way require it. We want you to not pick one based on looks. We want you to spend some time with the animals to make sure that that the breed of animal, the breed of dog, or the the age or size or gender, you may have particular requirements that you're going to impose on taking an animal home, but each animal is an individual, so we want you to spend time with them, just to make sure that you're as much as possible you're making the right choice. Mm-hmm. So once you get to spend some time with any number of animals that you choose to, we do have an application process to go through. We want to know some things about you, the history that you've had with animals, mm-hmm. What your expectations are, and then gives us an opportunity to explain specifics about an animal that you're interested in taking home, their mm-hmm. history with us, as well as again, support services, because we've got a whole variety of support services to help make this relationship work. Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, it looks like we have a caller. Susan, you're on the air. What question do you have today?
Hi, thanks for taking my call. I have been interested in adopting a cat for a while. I have a full-time job, and I often travel a lot, so I've been considering adopting 2 cats at once to keep each other company. So first of all, would you guys recommend doing that? And second of all, am I able to do that at the Anti-Cruelty Society?
Oh, sure. We do encourage, not only encourage multiple cat adoptions, but in order to convince people that we think it's a really good idea, when you're adopting, excuse me, a second cat from us, we actually pay half the adoption fee, so that the whole process goes easier the second time around. Now, if you do 2 cats that are related to each other, you certainly can do it at the same time. If you're going to do 2 cats that have no familiarity with each other, we might encourage doing them one at a time. Getting a new cat acclimated to the home, and then bringing a second animal in, rather than having tensions and stresses going out in too many different directions at once. But yeah, having 2 animals to keep each other company is a great idea. Not everybody wants 2 cats, and we understand that too, and we certainly have animals available that are just not interested in living with other animals.
Sure.
Yeah, solos.
Okay, all right, thanks for your advice.
Thanks for your call. Bye-bye. And it looks like we have another caller. Steve, you're on the air.
Hey, thanks for taking my call. I just wanted to ask, over the years I've heard a lot about the push for spade-neutering animals around the city, multiple cities for that reason. Have you guys seen the effects of getting the message out over time, or is there still a pretty big need for people to be aware of that and take action on that?
Well, the answer is there's 2 questions there, and the answer to both of them is yes. Is it working? Yes. Is there still a great need? Absolutely. I can tell you in general terms that the number of animals coming into our facility, and in fact the number of animals coming into facilities throughout Chicago, it has been reduced dramatically over the last 10 years. In our shelter, for instance, 10 years ago, our animal intake was around 16,000 animals coming in annually, and this year it'll be about 7,000. So it allows us to do a good deal more with the individual animals when we're not completely swamped and overwhelmed by the volume of animals coming in. It does allow us to expand our programming and do a better job for the animals that are showing up at our door. It's absolutely working.
Great, thank you.
Thanks for your call, Steve.